Greetings from iCube, the entrepreneurship cell of IIM Shillong. Today we have Mr. Amit Kumar Agarwal, the CEO of No Broker, world's largest customer-to-customer real estate company. It's a pleasure to have you on campus, sir.
Thank you.
The first question that I would like to ask you is about how is it for an IIT and IIM graduate different from a normal graduate in the entrepreneurial journey, specifically in terms of raising funds and getting customers on board?
So in terms of raising fund, I would say that the life is slightly easier, that you will get the appointment because IIT-IIM is a tick in the IQ box. But of course, it doesn't mean that it is that if your idea is not good or the team is not good, then it will fly. So the advantage is that you get appointments fast, and that depends upon how your idea is. In terms of scaling up customers, then it's a brutal world. So it doesn't matter what background you had or what grades you got, or whether you were a topper or whether you were the best employee in your previous company. Then the customer is customer. If for customer, it doesn't matter from which college you graduated. If he doesn't like the service, he will say it's bad, and it will hurt even more. So I think that's the reality.
But sir, do you think that it's a double-edged sword? I mean, you are an I'm graduate, and then you leave all the good placements and everything, and then you go to start your own journey and start your own startup, work on your startup from the level zero. So is it a double-edged sword for the for someone like you has done IIT, then IIM, and then leaving everything just to get in pursuing your own idea?
No, you're absolutely right. It seems a double-edged sword because if you start comparing you with your batchmates, and if you see that they are 1 year or 2 years ahead in the job curve than you are because you left the job, then of course it seems like a double-edged sword, because you feel that now you have a golden handcuff in which you are getting good salary and hence you want to continue. So it depends upon you. If you feel that working for a big company and having a stable life and growing career in that company is good, you should pursue that. So there is no one answer. It's not that everybody should be pursuing startup. Because startup looks very glamorous, but there are a lot of corpses in the entire journey. And people only hear about the companies that have succeeded. There are a lot of companies which have not succeeded. And though that number is much, much higher. The only thing that I would add is that after graduating from IIM, you have a degree which gives you an advantage over any other person in the country. You can, as I said, you can get a job anytime in the next 30 years. You might get it at 1 lakh rupees lesser, but you will get a job no matter how big a break you have taken. So because you have that backing, so instead of using it as a double-edged sword, I think you should use it as a double cushion that you can base it on. So if you are enthused about starting up, then go ahead. If you think that you want to be a big contributor in a largish company, then that's also a great path, because then everybody is a team effort. Everybody is building a large business. So it's not the founder who should be given the entire credit. If you see at Infosys, it's not that Narayan Murthy is the only reason of success. There are 50 top guys who made a billionaire company out of Infosys. Those 50 guys may not be talked about, but that's the team. If you are part of that team, it's equally good.
So talking about team, was it easy for you to, gather people around you who had the same vision and same goals like you? Because you must be in a good job and at a good place, and then convincing everyone to starting with you. So was it easy for you?
No, it's never easy. And when I was in IIM, then there was lot of OB courses, organization behavior courses, and we used to always cram them and rectify them and clear the exam. But as every alumni says, that those are the real good, really important subjects, because they tell you how to make a team, and that's all matters. No concept of finance or no formula of maths or a marketing difficult concept ever you don't remember any one of them. But the how to build a team is the most important concept. Here I would say that people who are not interested in joining you, it doesn't make sense to pursue them too much. Because if they don't have the stomach for it, they will be the first one who are going to leave you as soon as a tough situation is there. But if there's a guy who is really great and who wants to take a plunge and want to contribute, and it's only a convincing which needs to be done, then we have to do it. It's a part of our job. The way in which you sell to a customer, you need to sell to a fellow member who's going to join your mission, and you need to tell him genuinely what he should expect. So there are instances where you would know that the founder of Walmart, Sam Walton, he used to basically bring the families of the potential employees, take them around the city where they're going to live. So that bit of emotional investment should be done, and that's required.
So looking at the real estate and construction industry right now, housing.com has gone. Common Floor was acquired by Quicker. What is your view in the way in which we can, as no broker, generate more and more value? Is there a way in which we can bring the complete home buying experience online so that revenue can be generated from that? Instead of just listing and subscription platform, can this experience be bought online?
So we make good revenue, and we are doing the things that you just suggested. So we are doing packers and movers, we are doing home interiors, we are doing home loan, we are doing legal documentation apart from the deed closure, because this is what the customer wants. This is the entire journey, and because we are not a classified like other players that you mentioned, because we have a transaction marketplace. So the transaction happens on our marketplace. We don't post a broker listing where the customer goes away to a broker and leaves a platform for that year. Customer keeps on coming back to our platform because he needs the rental agreement to be done. He needs the pack and movement to be done. So that's we are doing that because we want to be an end-to-end solution. It's a good business opportunity and makes sense for the customer also.
So, sir, you talked about golden handcuffs. I mean, I've heard many people in the ecosystem saying it, from Vijay Shekhar Sharma to many people have heard it. So, basically, the thing is that when do you realize that you have to, I mean, your idea is, the time of that particular idea is right now and you have to pursue it or you would believe. I mean, how do you get that feeling?
So when you feel that now you want to do it, you have to do it, and you feel a very high drive which is good enough according to you to keep you afloat for the next 1 to 2 years, even if you don't see any financial success, then you should go ahead. So the real parameter is that you just ask yourself alone that if you start something of your own and you don't get any financial backing for the next 1 to 2 years, can you survive? Can survive emotionally, financially also, but emotionally. If you are feeling that drive, it's the right time. Doesn't matter whether you are 20-year-old or 50-year-old. In fact, the KFC founder was very
yes.
old.
Yes.
He was 55, 60 years
Yeah,
old.
55.
So it doesn't matter what age it is, that drive should be there. And if drive is not there, just because you read a good interview of Vijay Shekhar Sharma,
Yeah.
don't take up that. Because he had the tenacity to stay for years and years. For
Yeah.
decades, he has struggled and he has built a large business. If you are going to leave after 3 months,
Yeah.
then it's going to leave a very bad taste in your mouth. So I think that's the litmus test.
Talking about all the entrepreneurs' journey, talk about anyone, they try a lot of businesses and then find a business that they love and pursue it. So what was your entrepreneurial journey before going into No Broker?
So I am a first generation entrepreneur. I started a very small business which was called Omniquity with one of my friends in around 2008, which was about democratizing the advertisement space which is available in the apartment societies. So the open space which is available in apartment societies. So that did not take off, and the reason that both of us realized was that it is because we did not leave our jobs. Because we were trying to do it along with our job, so it was very difficult. Neither you can do justice to the job, nor you can do justice to the enterprise. So the best thing is that you take up lunch. You decide, you take up lunch. Next time when I started, I left my job. Just focus on one thing, because once you have burned the bridges, then there is no going back. You know that the bridge has been burned, so now the only way is to go forward and give it a try once.
So, sir, I mean, you have raised a significant amount of investment till now. I mean, you have gone till Series B. So, I mean, for many entrepreneurs, their journey stops when they don't get the funding at the ideation stage or at the market validation stage. So, what's your take on that? I mean, how do you cope with, the investment scenario, plus how do you manage what time you should give to the seeking funding and what time should be given to, at the beginning, very beginning, because the team is very small at that point of time.
So see, raising fund and convincing an investor is basically propagating your religion.
Yeah.
So you can say that yes, you want to practice your religion faithfully, but you also want to propagate it. Practicing is running a business and propagating is raising funds. So both of these things are important. If you want to become large, then you have to get people who will back you and who will make you large. Yes, there are instances, and there are lots of instances where people are not able to raise funds. But you have to understand, it's a mixture of multiple things. Sometimes the idea perhaps is not good. An investor in a way is doing us a favor by telling that don't pursue this.
Yeah.
This is not going to go somewhere. I have seen it. Many a times it may be because investor community is not understanding your idea, or they think it is too risky, but it is not. So there are some basically luck plays. If possible, I suggest that you continue doing it even at a thin level, so that the product market fit basically grows and you cross that bridge. If it is not possible, then it is better to cut your losses and then try again.
Yeah.
So for every entrepreneur, there is one mentor that he follows, and there is an inspiration that like whom he wants to become. So who has been your mentor and your inspiration throughout your journey, sir?
So I think there are multiple people across India. So there is no one person that I can name. I think multiple people, especially Jeff Bezos is someone whom all of us look up to. Not just because he's very aggressive and built a large company, but mainly because the DNA of focus on customer that he has been able to push, that's simply amazing. So even when they were small, Amazon was small or they became big, the continuous focus was on high customer service, and whatever is good for customer, do that. That way, Google is also a company which I respect a lot, because today they can monetize anything. They can ask us to pay for Gmail, they can ask us to pay for anything that we use, but they decided to basically not charge for it.
Yes, sir. So I mean, what's your take on the current scenario? I mean, we have seen that funding has dried up in India. I mean, in the years of 2012, 2013, till 14, we were hearing so much of funding happening. SoftBank was coming in, and even in the Indian investments were very active. Now they are more cautious in investing in new startups on ideation basis. They want to have a solid platforms to invest in. So what's your take on that? I mean, is that a good thing for Indian entrepreneurs, or I mean, it will discourage the youth that's coming up with new ideas?
So see, actually the funding hasn't dried up. The euphoria in the funding has dried up. So the funding basically goes through the euphoria stages and the caution stage. But even if you see now, companies which have a good product market fit, whose product is what is required by the customers, they are getting funding. So across different stages, they are getting funding. The only thing which has stopped now is that earlier a lot of Me Too players were also getting amount of funding. So you saw in food tech.
Yeah.
There was a time, there's a bubble in food tech when a lot of food tech companies got funding. But today now the companies which are there in food tech are much more saner, and hence they are able to build large enterprise. So I think these are just cycles like stock market, but like they say in stock market that you just need to choose one good company or 5 good companies. You don't need to worry about where 5,000 stocks are going.
Yeah.
Similarly, you don't need to worry about whether 500 companies got funding or whether 50 got funding. Your company should get funding. So if your idea is good, your company will get funding.
Carrying forward that question of funding, sir, talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, they tend to talk that either I want to become like the X company or I want to get acquired by that X company. Most of the entrepreneurs look at entrepreneurship from the exit point of view. What is your take on that, and what is your plans with No Broker as such?
So me, Akhil and Saurabh, we love working in No Broker. So if you ask me, I don't want to sell No Broker to anyone. Yeah, 10 years from today also, I just want to run No Broker. Hopefully make it very large business, and that's what basically makes me ticking from morning to evening, that they're building a large business.
So I mean, there must be many battery down moments for you, the team, and especially I mean the founders. So how do you cope up with that? I mean, being at that stage, you can't tell your team that this is not happening, or we are not generating that much. We have missed the target. So how do you cope up with that?
So there are two basically lines of defense which I use for this. One is my co-founder. So co-founders are someone, so we are 3 co-founders. We share, when you run a startup, there are hundreds of moments of doubt, and they keep on coming. Their scale and their intensity might change, and over years you become more emotionally stable, but they are always there. So one is that as co-founders we discuss that what's the problem, and I have always seen that discussing it and taking a rational approach is always better. Second is that that spouse, whichever is your partner, because in that moment of weakness, if your spouse doesn't support you, it's very difficult to run a business. So in every business who's being run, the partner is playing a very important silent role.
Sir, on an ending note, what would be your key contribution or key message for the students who are currently studying in college, schools, who want to become entrepreneurs in the long run? What would be your key message, that how should they follow their dreams?
So I would say that please do not become entrepreneur because it's glamorous. Don't become entrepreneur because others are doing it. If you feel the drive, if you feel that you want to start your own business, and come hail and come what weather for the next 2 years, You are going to pursue it. You are going to learn from the market. You will never get married to one idea. You will change it based on what customers are saying. Then that's the right time, and you start it, no matter what your age is. So you might be 25-year-old, you are about 55-year-old. Just start at that point when your drive is highest.
So
So this was Mr. Amit Agarwal from No Broker. Thank you.
Thank you.